Welcome everybody to the SideQuest. That's all you're getting from me on this on this evening in August, this late August evening on a Friday night. It's me, Dolly Domovsky, and joining me is Sam Dixon.
Hello, friends.
And that's it. You just got us two. But
yes,
who
just
else?
singular friends.
Yeah. Who else do you need? We're here to bring you all the fun gaming news, I guess.
Sure, or at least the stuff we remember.
At least the stuff we remember. It's been almost 2 months since we recorded last, beginning of July sometime.
Oh, I think so. Yeah, probably right after I got back from like the fireworks stand.
Oh,
right?
yeah. We never got any of those stories. We're gonna mark it on our calendar next year to just have Sam tell us stories of the from the abyss. Well done, sir. Well done. How you been, Sam?
Pretty good. Been real busy. I cover sports, so the sports seasons have started. So things have gotten exponentially more difficult in my life. I mean, good stuff. I guess tonight was pretty bad. We had a TriCaster graphics card fail on us, so that wasn't too great. But
that can. Didn't you have like an issue the other day as well?
Yeah, that our setup is probably about 5 years old. It really needs to be refreshed.
Okay. Yeah, nothing new on my end. It's summer, which means I haven't really had a chance to enjoy summer. I'm like busiest during summertime, which like that would be my prime time to catch up on all my backlog of console gaming, but I just haven't had the chance. I've been so swamped with work and family stuff that like literally I think this weekend is my first real free weekend that I don't have anything going on. And of course there's a big fight tomorrow night, and the Game of Thrones finale is on Sunday. I think we're even going to be recording a podcast on Monday about that. So yeah, even that is keeping me a little bit busier than I've wanted to, but I have played games, and I'm sure you've probably played a few games. So we'll just talk about some of the things that we've been playing, and then maybe we'll talk about the stuff that's upcoming in the second half of the year or the rest of this year.
Sure.
I think that sounds good. Well, I'll talk a little bit about what I've been playing. And that is more games from 2011. No, I'm just kidding. But not. I finally finished Dragon Quest VII. I think I may have had that finished last time. I wasn't quite sure, but I finally did that. And then I went and took on Bravely Second, which is a really fun game. I actually really enjoyed it. They fixed a lot of the issues. It's another 3DS game. They fixed a lot of the issues that were with the first Bravely Default, which was just repetition. It was absolutely bonkers. The grinding wasn't as bad in this one, but I liked it. I recommend it if you're looking for JRPGs for the 3DS. So it's not devoid of JRPGs, that's for sure. And then the next game, and since I was on this 3DS kick, I figured I'm going to go through all my 3DS games. Went out and got myself the fancy new 2DS XL.
Ooh.
Traded in my 3DS. GameStop was having a really cool trade-in deal. They were taking the old 3DS XL for like $75. So I put that towards the 2DS XL, and which basically made it half off. So that worked out pretty well. I traded in a few other older games too, but a really nice device. It's like they fixed so many issues that I had with the 3DS. Stuff like the cartridge slot was never covered before in the past. Like you could bump your cart, and I've had my cart go flying across the room if I was shaking the 3DS or bumped something wrong. But this actually has a cover on it, which is super nice to protect it, and the micro SD card is right next to it, and it's all covered up and makes it nice for both security and for just kind of keeping everything accessible. The old 3DS, which 3DS version do you have?
I have one of the original, like, smaller ones.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, that card is like right in the back there in the middle.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So you could be playing and like accidentally like just kind of push it in.
Oh, the new 3DS was worse. Because it was at the front, which means I'm the kind of person, the way I hold my 3DS, I have kind of meatier hands. I have big fat hands. But the way I'd be holding my 3DS is I would have my either my pinky underneath or as part of my palm, and I accidentally bumped that, and I again would dislodge the 3DS game like mid play. So you lose all kinds of saves in there. But yeah, this has it covered up. Super. Obviously, it's not 3D, but it still has the dual cameras because some games support or require support two cameras. The only issue I have with it, the screen is actually super nice. It's surprisingly, the screens are bigger than the new 3DS, which is weird to say. The bottom screen is especially, but the only issue I have with it is the buttons are a little bit like plasticky. I guess they're not as squishy as they are in the 3DS and the 3DS XL. They're kind of flimsy, they feel, and they make like really loud clicking noises or louder clicking noises. It's not bad by any means, but it's just kind of you could tell it's a cheaper product, less expensive product. But other than that, this is the device that the 2DS/3DS/DS always should have been. Just everything is laid out super nice. It feels really comfortable. It's a great size. The texture on top, they have this kind of diagonal ridge texture. It's really nice. So yeah, I picked that up, and I've hopped into Triforce Heroes, which was the Zelda game that came out, like, was it 3 years ago or 2 years ago or something for the 3DS?
Yeah, at least 2, I think.
Okay, I think it was the year after that kind of other overhead game. Either way, whatever. It's a multiplayer game. I've been playing this as single player because there are 0 people playing it online, as is typical with Nintendo games, especially the portable ones. But really enjoying it. I mean, let me take it back. Not really enjoying it, but it's a nice game. I guess that's probably the best way to explain it. It's a nice game. There's enough in there to kind of, you could get through the game in a day, maybe a couple days if you just kind of grind through it. I think they say it's about like 13 to 14 hours worth of playtime. The worlds are really short. Some nice puzzle design. It's obviously in the same vein as the other multiplayer Zelda games that have been out there. There actually have been surprisingly a bunch of them. The four swords and things like that, but just with 3 people. So yeah, it's cool. I'm just about done with it. I think I have like one more stage left to go. And let's see what else I have. I think that's been it for the portable side. I've been using the Switch as a portable. I love the Switch, man. I'm really
it's the best.
It is the best. It's so weird. It's like it's easily, man. The Switch and the PS4 are really all you need in gaming. Like, you don't need any other gaming device. I mean, well, unless you're a PC player, I can understand that. But being able to take the Switch anywhere and everywhere, and then have like the kind of games I want, like their JRPGs are starting to pop up. A lot of the Japanese games are starting to come over. They just announced a whole bunch over at Gamescom, like the Warriors games and a lot of like Dynasty Warriors, that kind of stuff. So all those they're making their way to the Switch, and a lot of them are becoming west. So there's this really interesting influx of games that we'll be getting, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. I've started having people over at my house for like the first time since we moved in. And like I was showing the Switch off to a group of people that didn't really know anything about it. And I like in the corner, like 20 minutes after I showed it to everybody, it's just one of my friends like playing on it. And just muttering like, if I put this back on the TV, it'll go on the TV. And like it was just playing over here, right? I'm like, yes, but now in 1080p as opposed to 720 over here. Mm-hmm. It's just it's such a nifty device that, like, as we start getting like more and more games to it, I think people are really going to start to figure out that it doesn't matter that it's not, it might not look like the PS4 version of this game, but the sheer fact that I can, take it down the block and order a sandwich and wait for it while playing on that. Like, really, if you're somebody that likes to take like board games or even something like that, like to a friend's house, like this is another like opportunity to do that type of thing.
Oh, totally. Like, absolutely. I think there's still so much potential with this thing. I mean, there have been rumblings of like, everyone's obviously seen the rumors of like more powerful versions eventually, like a Switch Pro or something. And I do think that'll happen probably at the same or a similar cadence to what the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One Pro have been doing. So like every maybe 3-4 years, we'll probably have a new Switch come out, which is okay by me. That at least that means power is catching up to price. That's something that Nintendo's always very cognizant of, is keeping that price down. So a $299 Switch, but you still can't buy a Wii U. The price never dropped on the Wii U below $299. I think it was, right. It was still.
Well, you could buy the refurbished one from them for like $200. It came with Nintendo Land. I don't know if they still offer that, but that was like the cheapest way of getting into it, if that's like what you wanted to do.
Yep. But the Switch is like, they just released sales numbers, and the thing is just still selling like hotcakes, right? It's Nintendo's still their best selling system over these few months. I mean, I think the Wii was obnoxious in how they did it, but their price, it was actually a lot cheaper. But I think GameStop said it just came out as Nintendo's best selling console for these few months, so that's a great sign. But yeah, the amount of games that are coming out, it seems like every game now is, oh man, I wish they made a Switch version. Oh man, this should come out on Switch. Hopefully they'll make a Switch version of this.
Yeah, they announced those like Persona Q and the like dancing all night versions of the 3 and 5, and I think the whole thing on the internet was, that's great. Like, I love that these Persona games are coming out, but why is there no Switch version of at least one of them?
It's the interesting thing. There were a lot of comparisons early on between the Switch and the Vita, just because the form factor wise they were sort of similar. But the Vita had a chance. Looking back now, you look at what the Vita could have done, and there was the Vita TV, obviously, or the PlayStation TV that they named it in the U.S., which played some Vita games with the PS3 and PS4 controller, and you could stream PS4 games. They had an opportunity with the Vita. If they made a worthwhile dock that you could just plug the thing into a TV and use your PS3 controller, I think that could have been a pretty cool way to market the Vita. And I think, if unfortunately, it relied so heavily on touchscreen controls for some of the more popular games that they had, that it would have been much more difficult to do that. But I could foresee a Vita that just plugged into the TV, like the PlayStation TV, but you could carry, pop it out, take off the dock, and take it with you. I think that would have completely changed what Sony's strategy was. And they did the same thing with the original PSP when they made that not only digital version, right? They had just a hard drive version of the PSP, which was a great. Looking back now, it's like, man, that was a great idea, because that was before digitally downloaded games were a big factor. Now, I think like 75% of the games I have in my Switch are downloads, and I've been downloading and buying at least 1 or 2 games a week on the Switch, which is, I've never done that before with a console, never on the Wii U or the PS4 or anything. It's usually just been like cartridges, or I should say like discs, but now I've been downloading quite a bit. So
yeah, I don't know what it is about the Switch, but the only physical game I own is Zelda, and then everything else has just been completely digital. And it's nice because I only have a 32 gig card in there, and I think the system itself has 32 gigs. Save some for system memory and whatnot. But I haven't even started to get close to filling up either of those.
Sure.
Well, one of them I think is almost full, but Zelda, I think, is 8 gigs, maybe. And Mario Kart is only 8, and I'm sure Rabbids and Super Mario Odyssey probably won't be that much coming out later. It just makes more sense on that system if you're not going to have these 50 gig install files that PS4 and Xbox has, to just go completely digital with it.
Right. It's and I got the 200. I think it was a 256 gig card that was on sale, so I installed that, and I don't think I'll ever be able to fill it up. At least not anytime soon.
Yeah, you could probably buy everything off the eShop right now and not get close to it.
Exactly. But anyway, so I've been loving the Switch. I wish everything was on the Switch, and every game announcement. I'm glad there are a few are being announced for the Switch. I know some of them are kind of being pushed back because they are sort of later announcements, but you think of like WWE or FIFA or NBA 2K. I actually think those are great games for the Switch. mostly because I'll be able to take those with me and play them with friends. I'd love to play FIFA just on the go with buddies at work, or WWE, just to kind of show somebody, some of the stuff. I think there's actually some cool potential. And so to see the third parties now start to say, hey, they're kind of just testing the waters, I guess you could say, with games like this, but they could do fairly well on the Switch. It is more of a social console, way more of a social console than any of the other ones, right?
Yeah.
It's the console where you want to get multiplayer games on there. You want to get people together. I just wish the dock was. I wish there was a way to make a portable.
Yeah, that's what I was about to
dock.
say. The only downside of that system right now is there's no like hotel dock, right?
Yes,
like there's
exactly.
nothing that you can take with you to like even an office space and using a projector to like hook it to that projector.
Have you seen that portable projector? There is a Switch projector somebody had come up with.
Oh, really? I mean, I'm sure you can get one of those like Pico projectors or whatever in USB-C or HDMI to it, but what is it? It's $90 for the Nintendo standalone dock. And I know there are a couple of alternatives out there, but they're all like $40, $60 ish, and none of them cool the system effectively, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's somebody should get on that and come up with a dock that you can just like, it's just a simple like one or two cables.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Because that's the thing. It's like you can get two people to play Mario Kart on that if they're sitting right next to each other, and it'd be fine. But if like playing four people on that little screen is like crazy, and even two people, as long as if their eyesight's not very great, like that's not going to help either.
And or if there's a lot of stuff happening on the screen, like it's just I dare you to play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Rainbow Road on on the Switch in portable mode. There's just no way with more than one person. It's already chaotic as it is with stuff going everywhere. Some sort of cheap. I mean, I'm not even thinking like $15, $20. Like a $30 adapter you could throw in with your cords. Or throw in with your Switch pack, because all of us have that Zelda pack more than likely. You throw it in that pack and you carry it with you, and all of a sudden you have an instant Switch. You have an instant party of everything you need. I think that's the one thing Nintendo is missing with this, is that quick, easy way to get it to every and any TV. And maybe it's one of those situations where it only plays in 720, which if you're taking it with you somewhere, that may be fine, right? You just play it in 720p instead of the 1080p that if you use the Switch dock, the actual big Switch dock. But I think they're missing an opportunity in making this thing kind of a reverse portable,
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, maybe there's still ways that they can come up with, play with the codecs and play with the firmware and fix their stupid online system, and go from there. So. But I've been playing, let's see, more Puyo Puyo Tetris. I've been playing, I've been playing Goner. I've been playing, what did I just pick up? Splatoon 2, nonstop Splatoon 2, and ARMS, actually. We've been playing a lot of ARMS lately, both my daughter and I. In fact, my daughter is downstairs playing Splatoon right now. And I think I said it in the past, but I feel bad. I've been farming Splatoon out to her just to keep playing and collect, collect points so I can buy new gear. But she loves it. She doesn't mind. It is, it's not the same as Overwatch, but it carries just this new type of online multiplayer. This like fun online multiplayer game that's not Call of Duty. It's not Halo. It's not a shooter. It's something completely different. And I think, games like Overwatch and Splatoon and, a few others really do a great job of that. So yeah, Splatoon 2, I'm loving it. It's so good. It's a lot of the first game, just kind of some of it is remixed. I mean, the hub world is completely different. The story mode is different. The online multiplayer, there are different things. Salmon Run is a fantastic addition, but you can still see the DNA of the original firmly in there. It's almost like I wouldn't call it a Splatoon 1.5. It's like 1.75 or 1.8. Not quite a full sequel, but enough to warrant. It's like Splatoon, like it's like a big giant. It's like Splatoon the Taken King, right? It's enough of a change where it's very different from vanilla Splatoon, right? So, but I love it. It's a blast. I'm Nintendo is just killing it with all the multiplayer, with all the game, like their cadence, their the monthly release of kind of big first party games is doing a good thing for them. So it's good to see. But yeah, that's what I've been playing. Kind of all over the place, but I am enjoying it. I've been more on the portable side than on the TV, just because I've been so busy, and it's so nice to just, sometimes when I'm at work and I'm frustrated, to sneak out for like 15, 20 minutes and go play Zelda or something for a little bit, and then get back to the office. People can take their smoking breaks. I'll take my my gaming break. But what have you been playing?
Sort of a lot, but also like not. Most of it's just been straight review stuff.
Okay, yeah, I got some of that too. Yeah,
as far as like personal gaming, I did finish Breath of the Wild. Finally, I kind of put off. I have like, oh god, I probably have like over 100 hours in that game. But
every single person on my friends list on the Switch, and I think I have like 60 people now on my friends list. Every single person that has Zelda is at over 100 hours.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I'm at like 6 hours, and I feel bad because I just haven't had the time to sink into it, because it's the kind of game you definitely want to sit down and play, because there's so much exploring, and it's not like you can play it for like 15 minutes or 20 minutes and put it down and go do something else and come back the next day, because the world is basically changed in that time, and the world is so expansive. So I'm going to sit down this fall, and I'll be one of the games that I just really start to sink my teeth into and go from there.
Yeah, I had kind of just put it aside because I was waiting for the DLC stuff to come out to see if it like did anything. And then my plan was to finish it at the fireworks tent. But then like when that DLC came out, it was like one of the busier days. So I kind of just put it back. And then just kind of forgot that I was like, oh yeah, I still have to finish this. So I went and did the last, my last Temple or Guardian.
Okay.
And then I realized I was like, oh, well, the castle's right over here, so I could just go there and kill him. So I did that. And yeah, man, it is going to be hard to convince me that that's not game of the year. I think it's like where I'm at, where like everything, like Zelda is #1, and you're going to have to come at me with good points of why it should be dethroned. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still need to play, like, my brother just bought me Nier Automata.
Okay.
So I need to play that before I get anything out, and I guess Persona came out this year too. So there are plenty of games that could come for the title, but it is going to be hard to convince me otherwise.
It's so good. I mean, Breath of the Wild, yeah, there's a lot of connotations to that. It's such a breath of fresh air. I hate saying it that way, but it's the openness of the game and how you approach situations. Like I say I'm like maybe 10, 12 hours into whatever I am, but most of that is just me just walking around and looking at things and hitting things and talking to people and completely avoiding the main quest.
It's so crazy that Nintendo like went through that change of like, okay, well, we need to make an easy mode for everything, and we need to like provide like detailed instructions to help people that aren't playing. Right, that don't play a lot of games. And Zelda just completely goes, no, we're not going to teach you anything. Like, there's button prompts on the screen. That's about all you get.
And they're like, tiny in some cases,
Yeah, go to the glowy thing on your map. Hopefully that's where you want to go.
Yeah, like I'm at a point right now where I need to find, I have to go through the pictures, right? It's like, I got the pictures for the first time. It's like, find this photo. I'm like, I have no idea where this thing is. They said it's east of over here. So I went east, and I have no idea how to get to anywhere. But the interesting thing about the game is it could be as hard as you want it to be. Like, I should say, it could be as difficult as you want it to be. You can still play it as sort of an easy game if you're flying through it. But if you want to challenge yourself, you really can challenge yourself, because it's organic in that way. And I think Nintendo did a wonderful job of setting it up. Like, you don't have to do all those shrines, all 100, however many there are, but if you start, there's completely easy ones. You just go up a ramp and hit a few guys and move a few pots, and you're all set. And then there's some where you have to hold the damn switch upside down to try to figure out. But you don't have to do all of them. They're completely optional. You can get some neat things out of there, and and it's a great thing. I mean, those things ramp up just like the the temples, all that kind of stuff. So there's it's cool, and Nintendo did a great job with that, and it's one of the reasons I'm not upset that I haven't completed it yet, but I'm bummed that I haven't had a chance to play as much as I've wanted to, because with a game like Zelda, I'm totally fine taking my sweet time. I could see myself taking a couple years to complete it just because I'm chipping away and I'm exploring and I'm enjoying, certain things. It's why some folks take like 300 hours to complete Fallout, right? You love getting lost in the world like Breath of the Wild, like Hyrule. It's
well, and that's the thing. Like I beat Ganon or whatever, but I still plan on. I've probably got like 30 or so.
Ganon's in this game? Oh no, just kidding.
I probably have like 30 or so shrines or whatever to tackle yet. Plus, whenever the DLC comes out, and I haven't completed that Master's Trial.
Sure,
I think it's called, for the first DLC pack that came out.
I love that in this new first DLC pack they had that path that shows you where you've been. Even like I thought I had gone everywhere in like the opening plateau, and I totally did not. It's so cool to say like, wow, I've missed whole chunks of this area that I thought I had gone to, but I didn't. So it's kind of it's a really interesting feature. But kudos to Nintendo for this game. It's going to be possible for any game to. It's a champ right now, sitting on top of the throne in my house as well. So it's going to be tough for others to beat it. But what else have you been playing?
All right. Well, we'll go in the order of the amount I'm allowed to talk about.
There you go.
So let's start with Nidhogg 2, which is actually out. I think it came out Tuesday. So Nidhogg 2 is essentially Nidhogg 1, but what if it was on the Sega Genesis?
Oh, nice. Yes.
Man, this game, like, if you haven't played Nidhogg before, it's like it's almost like a fencing game. You stand on like sort of opposite sides of the screen, and you have to come at each other. And if you win the fencing match, you have to run. So if you're on the left-hand side and you win, you have to run to the right. And you basically get into small micro fights against an opponent every single time. And whoever wins the fight gets to run the opposite direction. So the point is you're trying to make it so many screens to the right or to the left, and then get eaten by a giant worm at the end, which is, I guess, your crowning achievement or your award for doing so well. So it's basically like, think of it as like one-hit kill, like fighting game fights, but there's like maybe 30 or so in a match, depending on how long a match goes by. Nidhogg 2 is effectively the same thing. But Nidhogg 1 looked like an NES game. Nidhogg 2 looks like a game that has gone through like the radical like Sega Genesis era. It basically looks like Vector Man, kinda.
Oh wow!
So it's got like really bubbly like movie graphics and stuff like that. Like it's really weird to describe. You kind of just have to look at it. It adds a couple of things to like the gameplay. There was only one weapon in Nidhogg 1. And this one has a couple of other things, has a bow and arrow, has a dagger, has like a giant like Game of Thrones great sword in it and stuff like that. So there's definitely certain like strategies you can use. Like I'm really bad at the bow and arrow, so I would oftentimes just end up like sacrificing the person that would spawn with a bow and arrow.
Sure.
So I could get like a better weapon. And you can like customize in like the options. Like, I want to turn off bow and arrows, but I want to have the dagger, or like bow and arrow only like matches and stuff like that. And it does the whole combat just as well as the first game did. The only thing I'll say is I noticed that matches last a lot longer in Nidhogg 2, just because of the way you like. So you can't set it where it's like, okay, well, I will spawn with a great sword and you'll spawn with like a fencing sword. It's more of like, okay, you put them in an order. So like, I have the fencing sword first, I die, now I get the great sword, I die, now I get the dagger. So a lot of times, like, you'll end up like mismatching against the person you're playing against. So it goes back and forth a lot. Matches in Nidhogg 1 usually ended about like 5 minutes tops, depending on like how competitive the two players are. But I had a match with a friend of mine that we played Nidhogg 1 a lot. went for like 20 minutes.
Wow.
Like, and it's like it's not even fun at that point. Because like the thing is, it's like, okay, well, we finished the match. Like, do you want to play another round? Absolutely not. That took 20 minutes.
Huh.
So like I guess it depends. Like if you get people that are really good at the game, it'll probably last a while.
Hmm.
And to give you a good idea, like the campaign in that is like the story mode in that is just kind of like an old school fighting game campaign where it's just, here's a different stage with a different character that might say a tagline or something, but cut the taglines out. When I played through that, it took me 18 minutes to finish the game, finish like the single player, and that one match lasted longer than that whole experience. So you can play one-on-one matches, or you can do like tournament style, where you can have like, I think it's up to 8, might only be 6 players. So you got to think, like, if you're doing a tournament and everything takes like 20 minutes, you're asking your friends to like dedicate like 3 hours to figuring this tournament out. So that's a little, I mean, I don't know what you do. I guess you just come up with your own house rules of what weapons are acceptable and stuff, and maybe even just go with the same fencing sword. The online infrastructure was not working too great. I know they had a patch. I haven't really had time to test it yet, but it was working. It was serviceable enough. I was playing my brother out in California and wasn't having an issue with it. But it did lag like occasionally. So I'll have to check back to see if that's fixed. But I mean, Nidhogg 2 is a good game. If you've been interested in playing Nidhogg 1, I think this is only like $10 more, so it's probably the better choice to go after. Because you can make it set where it's just the fencing swords, or set off whatever you want. And there's some modifiers. You can do it where like there's 0 gravity, or you can throw your swords at the opponent, and you can set it to boomerang. So you can throw it, and like the sword leaves the screen just long enough for you to forget about that sword leaving the screen, and then comes back and can murder people. So that's fun.
So that's fun.
It's only like $15. It's a good, like, I hate to say it, but I wish it was on the Switch, because it's a very good, like, just sit down, play a couple rounds. Okay, what's the next game or something game? It's it's not something you're going to invest a lot of time in, but it's certainly hey, I've got a couple friends over and they like to play games. Let's throw this in the mix here.
Huh. Okay. I never played the original, so it's one that I'm maybe if I get some time to play it, I'll look into picking it up. I've heard so many great things about it, and this is kind of intriguing what you're telling me. So, what else have you been playing that you can talk about? Go ahead. Sorry. Oop.
Well, the next one comes out on Tuesday, and I can say everything about it because the review embargo, I think, went up the 21st. So that's Yakuza Kiwami.
Okay.
I wish Zach was here to yell at me and tell me how wrong I am. But I am not really enjoying Yakuza Kiwami.
Okay.
It's all right.
What is it? Is it like a remake of the first game?
So I think so. I don't think it's just a remaster, although some of the like non-important characters, when they talk, kind of makes me wonder if it's just an up-res of some stuff. But it looks like it was like made for a PS4 game. There certainly is like aspects of that game that you're like, oh yeah, this game is a PlayStation 2 game. There like certain walking animations won't work, or like there's a doorway, but I can't go in the doorway, but it really just wants me to hit X like over here to the right. So there's a couple of like things that in modern game design wouldn't have it that way. But I mean, other than that, it's not like the gameplay is just as the same as the modern Yakuza gameplay. The thing I think gets in Yakuza's way all the time is it gets described as like 1,000 different games. Like I was always told that it was like, oh, it's like Grand Theft Auto for like the Japanese market, and it's not even close to that. I think the thing that I associate with it the most is, if you remember like old school like NES, like Double Dragon, and like the sort of like go to the other side of the screen beat 'em ups. It's kind of like that, but in a 3D like open world. So you get into a lot of these like fights out on the street, or like different like missions always revolve around fighting. That's the number one answer with that game. You will always punch somebody. And so like it kind of plays out a little bit like it's more of a fighter than it is something like oh, why can't I think, like a Devil May Cry situation,
Mm-hmm.
um, or a Nier Automata. It's more of like a fighter than that. You got like a block, and you have a dodge, and there's combos that you learn and develop over the course of the game. But a lot of the fighting really just comes down effectively to, okay, mash square. Okay, he blocked me. Now counter. Now mash square again. And there's just so much fighting. And I feel like the difficulty spikes are real bad. Like, I'm playing on normal. There is an easier mode, but I got into this fight with this guy. This guy, and I can't remember his name, like instigates fights with you all the time.
Hmm.
And when he randomly just finds you in the open world and you fight him, he's pretty easy. Like, usually only has one life bar. Like, one time, he dressed up as a bartender or whatever, and then served you a drink and then charged you like $1 million for the drink. And you're like, well, I'm not going to pay it. So you get into a fight, and the fight's fine. And like one time he was dressed up like a mail delivery boy or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I just get in goofy fights with this guy sometimes. And like, I learn abilities from winning these fights with him after a while. But then randomly in like the story mode, he abducts a child and like takes it hostage. And like, you get into this fight where he's all of a sudden like 20 times harder than he's been ever before, and like with a knife, so he can just murder you like pretty easily. I had to fight that fight like 5 times, and then like as soon as I finish that fight, I find him again on the street, and he's easy again. And like, I just like that game has like odd difficulty spikes where the main story is like super difficult, but I don't think any amount of grinding in the side stories like gets you like doesn't really like you choose your path of upgrades, but I don't think, like, unless you were like really grinding, like I don't think there's really like a way to get you to be like, okay, I'm overpowered for this. Like, I feel like in the story stuff you're always underpowered, which isn't a problem, but I don't know. Like, everything in that game revolves around fighting, and you can take. There's stuff like you can go to the slot car races and build your slot car, and there's a boost and a slowdown for the slot car, or like you can go to like the hostess or the host cafes and like hang out with a lady and take her on dates and stuff like that. But I just don't. I feel like the main crux of the fighting doesn't make me want to stay in that universe to try out all that stuff. I'm probably about halfway through the game now, so I'm sure. I hope that there's more stuff that like makes me interested. Because the reason I took this review is because I kept seeing in all the copy like, this is a great place for new fans of the series to jump on and to figure out like what Yakuza is all about. And like, I'm starting to figure out that like maybe Yakuza just isn't for me.
It's not about you.
Yeah, it's not about me. It's not a great point for me to jump on, but maybe somebody else. Which is a shame, because like I keep seeing trailers for Yakuza 6, and I'm like, oh well, maybe I'm interested in this. And like, I don't know. Like, I've always been interested in the Yakuza series, but it's never like grabbed me. Like, I've never just been able to like. Jump on.
It's been the same with me. I mean, I loved the style of it, and I see all the quirkiness, but it doesn't. It's never like. I mean, I've never played it, so I don't even know if I'd like it or not. But I think it's seemed like it's mostly there for what I would like, but then there's always. It just doesn't seem to like feel like it would hook me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm hopefully I'm gonna have a conversation with Zach before like I write a review on it, like just to be like, what am I missing about this game? Like, what excites you? Because I know he's a huge Yakuza fan.
Yeah, he is.
Like, I need to know like what maybe I'm missing something. Maybe there is something that's like really exciting, or something that'll make the combat less repetitive for me. But I'm not sure at this moment.
Have you played Sonic Mania by any chance?
No, I sort of want to.
I did end up picking that game up just on a whim based on all the positive feedback, and I thought, yeah, this is it's just an old game, because I didn't quite know what to expect. It visually, and I'm trying to relate this to Yakuza right now. So visually, it's it takes a lot of cues from the old games, and it does it for each of the worlds you kind of go through. So it's a side-scrolling Sonic game, very classically inspired. Takes cues from some of the um, the original Genesis and some of the later Sega CD and that kind of stuff, Sonic games. But it doesn't. It's not like recreating memory or recreating levels for the sake of recreating levels. It's actually doing a great job of capitalizing on the nostalgia. It's not so much what we like about it's why we liked Sonic. So it's really working some great things on that nostalgia end. Instead of it's not retro. That's a great thing about it. It's got retro flavored visuals, but that's about it. It's a nostalgia trip, but capitalizing on the best parts of Sonic nostalgia. And I think it is the best 2D Sonic game ever made. And it's done by fans, which is even an more amazing part. It's not done by Sega. It's just the guy who kind of kicked off this whole thing was a Sonic fan, and he wanted to work with Sega to get this game going. So I liked it. I like it a lot. It has a ton of variety. And then when you think about something like this compared to Yakuza Kiwami, which is, hey, it's a great stepping on point for brand new fans that we hope will get hooked on Yakuza. Meanwhile, this is sort of a celebration of Sonic. It's like, you know what? People like Sonic, so let's let the people who like Sonic go into why they like Sonic and kind of re-envision the first game and their favorite parts of all the Sonic games. Like Yakuza Kiwami could have easily been, hey, here's what we like about Yakuza instead of recreating Yakuza. I think that's what Sonic Mania does. It's what people like about Sonic instead of recreating Sonic. So, Sonic Mania is great. Yakuza Kiwami sounds like it's maybe if you're a fan of the series already, it might be interesting, but who knows? What else have you been playing?
The last one, which I can't talk about much other than that it exists, is Rock of Ages 2, bigger.
Okay.
If you played Rock of Ages 1, you play, well, I guess you don't play as a boulder. You kind of play as a commander who's in charge of a boulder. You kind of go through history and destroy people's armies and cities with this boulder, and it's a weird ball rolling game and tower defense mixed together. I was trying to look for the copy they used.
The original game was around a while ago, right? It was
and it's weirdly published by Atlas. I think it was an indie developer that just they were like, yeah, this is cool. Let's do this. I want to say the first one came out, 2013, 2012.
Something like that. Yep.
Yeah. It was a fun game. It's certainly unique. And this one seems to be focusing more on a lot of 2-player stuff. You can even play the campaign in 2-player now. So it seems it's for people that are hey, you're you loved this game, now get all your friends to play it. This one has 4-player multiplayer, which I haven't had a chance to check out. But I mean, it looks good, rolls good. It is certainly bigger and has more boulders.
When does when does the embargo go up for this?
So the embargo is on the 28th, and
okay.
Yeah, I'm allowed to post to social media about it now. So that's all you're getting out of
embargoes are fun.
The game comes out the 29th. It has its humor turned up to 11, is what this copy says. So there you go. Game details: action/tower defense. So if either of those sound fun to you, this game's coming out.
Tower defense, you're good.
Yeah,
that's funny. Yeah. Cool. Well, that comes out on the 29th, as do a lot of games. It seems like it's the first Super Tuesday of the year. And I think we can probably get into that to kind of go through the rest of the stuff in this podcast. I think the best way to do it is to go through maybe the major releases coming out. There have already been a ton of, obviously 2018 and 17 has turned out to be quite a year already. The first half and you had new console releases, you have even more new console releases, you had major games, you have stuff across 2D and VR and everything in the middle. So I figured, yeah, let's go through what's coming up. And the 29th is a good starting point. Rock of Ages 2, that's the #1 game coming out that day. I don't see anything. No, and Yakuza comes out that day as well.
Yep.
And we also have Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle that same day.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy.
I haven't decided if I'm going to pick that game up yet, or if I'm just going to wait and see like what the general talk around town is about that game.
It has previewed extremely well, all over the place. Like people are playing it at Gamescom and raving about it. I know review copies are out. I believe they're out in the wild right now. Obviously, with the game releasing on Tuesday. Like I said, I believe they are. We don't have any, but I really enjoyed what I played of it at E3. It already looked super polished, and that's why I'm really kind of looking forward to it. So, yeah, I mean, it's another Switch game, and I'm happy filling up my Switch game stable. So, I'm okay with that. But yeah, and I mean, Uncharted Lost Legacy just came out a couple days ago. I had that ordered, so that should be showing up at my house here any day now, any minute now, probably. Yeah, I think that's you had your Maddens. Those have already kind of come out. The regular ones that pop up every year on this time, but there are a lot more. Let's see here. We also have Resident Evil Revelations, that kind of re-release for PS4, Xbox One coming out, and then you also have Absolver coming out on Tuesday. And then Ys 7 comes out for PC on Wednesday, and then I think Life is Strange, the first chapter of the prequel series Before the Storm, comes out. So there's a ton that are coming out still the rest of this month. And then going into September is when things really get crazy, because the world is just waiting for Knack 2. Yeah, Knack 2. That's the sequel that everyone wants.
Okay.
But God, going through this list, like I have the thank you to our friends at VG247. There is so much stuff coming out in September. So much stuff.
Yeah, it gets like the good news is, other than Xbox One, really, everything gets like something super cool in September. Like the 3DS gets the Metroid Samus Returns, which is a remake of Metroid 2, I think.
Yep.
And that's looking good. I haven't yet to hear any complaints about that. Pokken gets re-released on the Switch.
Yep.
That month
with new fighters and some new modes and new online stuff.
Yeah, that 3v3 mode seems interesting.
Yeah, it does actually. Yeah. Yep.
Let's see here. Looking over that.
I mean, Destiny 2 comes out as well, which looks that's a huge game. Obviously, you guys had a chance to play the beta. I think we have. I just got a code for the beta for the PC, so I'll be giving that a shot. I believe that's beginning of next week sometime, the beta for that. But I really like the first Destiny. I liked vanilla Destiny because it was very plain. And I never did more than vanilla Destiny, and I enjoyed it. But I know it got considerably better after that. So I am looking forward to Destiny 2, but I may not pick it up right away just because I've got to kind of figure out what I want to get through. But Monster Hunter Stories is another 3DS game that I'm actually looking forward to. Another portable JRPG type of thing for the 3DS. So that to me is really kind of interesting. I love the Monster Hunter series. I really do wish they'll bring in XX or Generations 2, whatever they would call it here in the West, to the US.
The Switch version.
The Switch version. I think I think it's a great fit for that device, for that series. So there are a lot of other things coming out in September as well. Do you want to go through a few more?
Sure. Actually, I see this on here. I feel like this hasn't been very well publicized, but that Dishonored: Death of the Outsider. Yeah, that kind of is just creeping in there. I didn't think that was until later in the year. Man, Dishonored 2 is a game that I really enjoy but never finished. I had the same problem
Same.
with the first Dishonored. I love like the first Dishonored is probably one of my favorite games on 360,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
like I got that game. I played about 3/4 of it through, and then life happened or something
Sure.
happened, and I
Sure.
got, I was like, oh, I don't feel like creeping in the shadows, and that's exactly what happened with Dishonored 2. I was enjoying it, but I just never got a chance to actually go back and finish it.
Hmm.
Um, I guess Death of the Outsider is a story that happens after Dishonored 2, so
Oh,
it
that's
might be
great.
worth
Yeah.
finishing that before getting on that.
I completed the first game, loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it, and I haven't picked up the second one yet, but I probably will this year and dive into it. So it's on my to buy list. Just,
I
yep.
I'm not sure, but it looks like Project Cars 2 is the first big driving game this year in
I
September.
think so. Yeah.
I'm not sure when. I wanted to say GTA. I don't know when Gran Turismo is launching, and I think Forza is in October.
Yeah, Forza is usually September, like towards the end of September, but they pushed it in October, probably to get it closer to that Xbox One X launch. But yeah, Project Cars 2. And you know what?
Oh,
The
well,
first one was much more publicized, I guess. But
I guess the Formula One game just released last
yeah,
week.
Formula
So,
One, and then even
but yeah,
NASCAR is coming out. I think there's like NASCAR Heat is coming out. And
yeah. But if you're looking for like multiple discipline,
yep.
like driving, Project
Yeah.
Cars will be the first stab at it this season.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the first games had like some issues on consoles,
Hmm.
but I know the PC version has a huge community behind it, so that will hopefully be good.
Hmm.
Let's see here. The Dragon Ropa game is the end of September too. I've never played any of those games. I
Neither
know
have
they're
I. Neither have I. But I know people are huge fans of them. You
yeah,
know, are those that's that kind of visual novel style, right? Is that what
yeah. Ooh, I did. You know what? I found the Xbox One exclusive for September,
Uh-oh, what
and
is it?
that is Halo Wars 2,
Oh,
Awakening
Halo
the
Wars.
Nightmare expansion. Uh,
Well, don't forget Cuphead.
yes, well, yes, yeah. Cuphead is also September 29th, PC and Xbox One.
Yes. Yeah.
September 29th is going to be one heck
Oh
of a
God,
29th too.
that's the next big giant.
Yeah, you got Cuphead, the Super Nintendo Classic, which hopefully you all got your pre-orders in.
Did you pre-order yours? Did you be able to
Yes,
do it?
I'm actually sitting on two right now, and I
Yeah,
feel
same
I feel
here.
shame for it.
I pre-ordered the UK version right away
Oh man, I want
because I
that
love
so
that
bad.
design. I got that
I
because
know.
I love that design. We never got it here in the US. So I figured I'll order it and then that'll be my Super NES mini console, and I think I'll live with it. I'm totally fine that it doesn't look like the US version because I still have my Super NES floating around somewhere. But then
Yeah.
a part of me was like, man, uh, what if they just won't deliver to the US? What if it was just false? Or what if I really kind of want the US version? I mean, it's the same games. It literally is the plastic.
Yeah.
The exterior is different. Oh man, so I got kind of bummed out. And then they had that crazy day last week where everybody was pre-ordering and breaking everybody's website, and I somehow managed to get through to GameStop and ordered one of those dumb $200 bundles.
Oh,
Oh
really?
Lord, yeah. So I'm pissed off at myself for doing that. I thought I grabbed there was like $120 bundle. I thought I grabbed that one, but I guess I accidentally grabbed the
Oh
$189
no.
bundle. But so I had that one. But then today, as I'm driving home from work, I get a text message from someone that said, "Hey, they're live on Walmart right now." Like our good friend Wario64 tweeted it out. So I pulled my car over on the expressway and I went to Walmart's website and I ordered it. So I have it pre-ordered on Walmart. So I have three pre-ordered. The Super Famicom version from the UK I'm keeping for sure if I can get that through. And then I'm gonna cancel one of the orders unless one of my friends want it, but I want to cancel that GameStop order because it's $200 and I don't want to spend that much money. So
Yeah.
we'll see what I'm just not confident in these actually being released. I think that's my biggest
Yeah.
like
That's
the cancellations that some people are already getting for this latest wave are bothersome.
Yeah, I got the Amazon listing or whatever that
Okay,
was like
cool.
on the like weird secondary thing.
Yep.
And like I just was not sure if that was like going to be legitimate or not.
Mhm.
So I was actually like in the middle of mowing my lawn, and I like stopped to like take a little water break or whatever. And I looked at my phone and it's like GameStop has them in store. Go now. And I was like, yep. And
You're
I
going.
like left. My lawnmower was just in the middle of my yard, and I have an electric lawnmower, so it was plugged in the middle of my
That's
yard, just
brilliant.
sitting there,
That's
like
brilliant.
unattended, for like 30 minutes as I drove to GameStop and back.
Oh goodness. Yeah, that'll be another one. Like that's as nice as the NES was. I think the NES is for the 80s kids. The Super NES one is the one for us like hardcore gamers. Like I think that's the one that's the console that turned gamers into hardcore gamers. Like I think that was the first time you really heard that because of some of those amazing JRPGs and some of those action games at that
Yeah,
time, and the Star Fox and Super Metroid. Whereas more of the casual gamers were like, yeah, they were Mario Kart and Mario World, but they played more of the regular NES stuff. So another hit, and then next year we'll line up again for the N64 version, and they
I can't
eventually,
wait.
yeah.
The N64 one. Hey, sign me up for a GameCube while they're at it
Oh
too,
God, man,
which is great because think about the GameCube though. They don't
yeah,
have to shrink like they can
it's
shrink
already
the
small.
system, but the disc is so small. It's gonna be great. You could just have it play the disc.
Yep. I think we could spend a whole conversation about this. I think Nintendo could do an N64, a GameCube like mini, just like throw Melee on there, throw Mario Sunshine, Luigi's Mansion, get like, 15, 20 games on there. And then they could also do a Wii mini and just throw like, you get two wireless Wii controllers and like, maybe they're paired down or something, and you get a bunch of Wii games, and maybe it's like it's like $100 or something, $99. I mean, that would work out totally fine for some folks, I believe. So, but yeah, there's a lot that Nintendo could do, and of course the portable Game Boy. But so yeah, September 29th. You also got Total War Warhammer 2, and you got obviously FIFA comes out that day. That's a huge game, and then we also get at some point the Monsters of the Deep Final Fantasy 15 PSVR game, which I know we're all looking forward to.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I think another one is the Rayman Legends Definitive Edition is coming out for the Switch, but who knows?
So if you somehow haven't played or gotten that game for free at this point, hey, there you go.
Moving on to October. October is the month.
Yeah.
This has all the games that I want in October. Oh, God. Go ahead. Why don't you kick it off, and I'll try.
Well, let's see here. They're remaking Dragon's Dogma, Dark Ascent for like the third time. That'll be October 3rd. Forza 7's October 3rd. Apparently the pre-order beta of Battlefront 2 is October 4th. Let's see here. Shadow of War, Middle Earth Shadow of War is October 10th.
Yeah.
Apparently South Park, The Fractured But Whole is October 17th.
Yep. Evil Within 2 is on the Friday the 13th.
Oh, good planning on that.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Gran Turismo is October 17th. Fire Emblem Warriors. Destiny 2 on PC. Wolfenstein is that month. Super Mario Odyssey on the 27th, along with Wolfenstein on the 27th.
Bubsy, the Woolies Strike Back.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
I was going to say, I want to know what Cultist Simulator is. It's coming out Halloween 2017.
I will say Battle Chasers is one that I've played in a bunch of different expos. I really like it. It's a classic JRPG style. If you like Final Fantasy VI, but maybe with like comic book characters, if that sounds intriguing to you, then Battle Chasers is right up your alley. I think that's what everything I've played about that game I've enjoyed from that standpoint. It's like, man, what if, I'd love to play a JRPG with like image comic characters. That's basically what Battle Chasers is. So yeah, that's a great one. I mean, we even get some games like Lady Layton coming. The new Professor.
Oh yeah, is it out on mobile currently, or is it just in Japan on mobile?
I think it's just in Japan on mobile. Yeah. And then Elex, which was kind of an interesting game that it's like a big open world Fallout 4 with magic type of game, or Fallout 3 with magic type of game. So, and WWE 2K if anyone's interested in these types. But yeah, and then Mario Odyssey, you're right. Oh god, that game is another freaking phenomenal game. God, it's the only. It's funny. I'm like, what could beat Zelda? Well, you may have something that beats Zelda because Mario. It was so much fun at E3, just running around in a giant open world, this endless world as Mario, throwing your hat on everything. That was something that, that's really cool. I'm really excited for that one. So let's move on to November/December. There's a ton coming out. Obviously, I'll kind of kick it off, but you have Call of Duty World War II, so we know that one's coming out. We know the Horizon Zero Dawn DLC is coming out. Frozen Wilds. That's the same day as the Xbox One X launching November 7th.
That's an interesting date.
Yeah. And you also have Need for Speed Payback coming out a couple days later. Star Wars Battlefront 2 comes out mid-November 17th. Lego Marvel Superheroes 2. I love the Lego games, so yeah, bring it on.
You missed the Sims 4 Cats and Dogs expansion coming out on November 10th.
Oh, goodness. But people were flipping out about that. I saw a bunch of tweets and animated GIFs or GIFs or whatever about that.
It's crazy to me that's like, when did The Sims 4 come out? Like 2015?
Was it 20? I think it was like 2014 or something. I don't know. I don't remember. It
took them that long to find some cats and some dogs.
Then you have Pokemon. Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, which are going to be coming out November 17th as well. I'm not super high on Pokemon at the moment. I think I'm ready for the Switch version, but whatever. I'm still playing Pokemon Go. You have a Skyrim VR, and The Sims 4 is coming out for PS4 and Xbox One, so that's good.
Yeah.
Vampire, which looked really cool, that's coming out in November. The Apollo Justice game for 3DS, Doom, the VFR. The Steep expansion, Fallout 4 VR, SteamWorld Dig 2 is in fall sometime. I'm hoping the rumor is that will come out in September. The Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is coming out in holiday, so that's probably maybe sometime in November or early December. Skyrim for Switch is coming out. Moss, the PSVR game, is supposed to come out sometime this year. Rocket League for Switch, I'm really excited about that. And then PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds coming out for Xbox Game Preview. So it's like it's not the full game you're getting. You're getting the early access version this year at some point. So who knows? And for the most part, that's what's coming out the rest of this year. There are what are you planning on picking up out of all those? Like I have my list opened up here.
Yeah. To be honest, not really a lot. Like,
okay.
I'm probably at some point going to get Mario and Rabbids. I am going to play Destiny 2. I'll probably wait on Metroid: Samus Returns. Only because I have a lot of like Switch stuff to get through.
Yeah.
So I'll probably just wait on more handhelds. I still need to finish Forever Oasis.
Okay. How is that? Is it?
That's really good. Yeah, I guess I didn't talk about that. Yeah, that game. I feel like there's certain people that are going to feel like there's not enough to do in that game, or like some of it's repetitive. But it's a great handheld game that you can go in, you can play like a day or two in the game's in-game time, and you can feel like you've accomplished something, which is really like all I need from a mobile game. Is as long as I feel like I've completed a quest or built towards something with 20 minutes or so of playing a mobile game. And I think that game does that loop very well. There's just certain stuff like I got to complete this quest before I can do that, where maybe another open world game would let you go and do like those 4 things at once as opposed to like going out one at a time to do it. So there is like some of that kind of stuff. But it's kind of like a little like an open world more for people that don't really play in open worlds that often. But I think the combat's fine. it's a lot of like dodging and making sure you have the right weapon type to do the most damage to characters. Um, let's see.
It's on my list as well to pick up. And then same with Miitopia. I still want to grab Miitopia.
Yeah. Back to what's coming out though. Like I'll probably at some point play Dishonored, because I really like the first one and I like the second one. And then the question I have, Project Cars 2, Forza 7, and Gran Turismo next to each other with just a question mark, because I plan on buying.
Yeah.
Well, I plan on building like a really good computer towards the end of this year. So like it's like, do I get Project Cars or do I get Forza, or do I just buy Gran Turismo and play Gran Turismo until I buy one of those and play it? So like that's just so I will at some point play a driving game this holiday season. I'm not really interested in Need for Speed. From like what I've seen video wise and stuff, that game does not look good. Also, if you're going to give me an action-focused driving game, remake the Italian Job game for the movie.
Oh God, yeah, that would be. Yeah, that was great.
That game was phenomenal.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Other than that, really, the only other things are Super Mario Odyssey. That game's going to be just the best. And if Mario dethrones Zelda, I'm totally fine with that. And then Moss. I'm really interested in playing Moss for PlayStation VR.
And that one of our games of show at one of our best in show at E3 this year. So, yeah, are you not interested in the Xbox One X?
No, specifically because I'm building this computer and probably spending like $2,000 on the computer and like $1,000 or $2,000 on like a camera setup. So, and editing software and stuff. So I don't have the money to spend on a desktop computer that has a giant Xbox logo on it.
But does it even interest you, or?
Not really. I mean, I don't have a 4K television, and my TV doesn't even have HDR. And I'm at the point now where like, if I'm going to spend $500 to improve my home, it's going to be on carpet or paint.
Sure.
Or like something. So like my TV's perfectly fine. It's probably like 2 or 3 years old. So like I don't plan on upgrading to a 4K TV. I may buy like a 4K monitor when I build this computer, but like I just don't.
Sure.
There's nothing on Xbox. Like if I'm gonna play like multi-platform games, I'm gonna play it on PlayStation because that's where all my friends play. But like even a PS4 Pro means nothing to me. Like
yeah, same here.
Yeah, being able to but in single player you can play in 60 FPS. But like why shouldn't I just be the same across multiplayer and single player if I'm gonna like split my time between the two? It just those propositions for their price. I'm not interested in it as a consumer. Now, sometime down the line, let's say my PlayStation 4 dies and the PS4 Pro is just as cheap as, what a PlayStation 4 is now. Like, yeah, then that becomes like a proposition. Well, of course you'd go for that one. But as far as like upgrading, like I just don't see the need as somebody who owns, well, I don't own an Xbox One anymore, but, I just don't see the need to upgrade to those unless you're somebody that has a very nice 4K HDR enabled television.
Sure.
And you want to use those functionalities. Like that sounds great. And being able to run games natively at 4K on a console, is great, but I just don't know. You're positioning that console to people that, might already own maybe 2 Xbox Ones already.
I think that's going to be the majority of the first one. Yeah, the majority of the buyers will be that. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, it's I've never seen it in person, so I can't tell you like how good the visuals and stuff like that look. But I mean, I'm sure everything looks great coming out of that box. And if they support it at least 5% more than Sony supports the PlayStation 4 Pro, like you'll have good content to play on that. It's just it's hard to say to somebody, hey, like you don't own an Xbox One, buy an Xbox One X this holiday season and play these amazing games. Well, what amazing games? Well, how about Halo 5? or
How
like
about our old games? Yeah.
yeah, how about these games that have been out for a year? I mean, Forza, sure, but like if you were gonna buy,
But a car game
yeah,
is every car game looks great now. They've looked great since like the PS3, the Gran Turismo 5. So it's not like car games don't look good. They still look fantastic, and you don't need a great box to showcase them.
yeah. Well, and if Forza was
Yeah.
gonna sell you on an Xbox, like Forza has already sold you on an Xbox like 3 times at this point. So I just don't see a lot of new consumers unless you get the parent that's like, I don't know, my son just wants that new Xbox thing, and they get the X dumped on them as opposed to like the Xbox One S or whatever.
Sure, sure, sure.
I want to know the sales numbers in the first month between the Minecraft Xbox One S and the Xbox X. Like I want to know like which one
That
outsells the other,
Minecraft
'cause
one looked
yeah,
fantastic.
I'm willing to say that Minecraft one will probably sell like double the amount that the Xbox One
Yep,
X does.
yep. Although they're saying the Xbox One X had the Xbox One X has record pre-orders for an Xbox console. What that means, I don't know.
Yeah, because like, well, yeah, what does that mean though? Because the 360, they like really screwed up that
Yeah,
release.
yeah.
And then like the Xbox One was what, like 2 weeks after the PlayStation 4, and it was
Mhm.
nothing but bad press leading up to
Mhm.
that. So like, what number does that's like? Oh, okay, well we pre-sold 5 as opposed to like 4 or whatever.
Yeah, right. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm not super when you get to the Xbox One X. Sorry, it's I'm not sold on it yet. So there's this whole level of like luxury gaming, right? I mean, I think if you do have a 4K TV and you are into just pimping out your living room or your entertainment center, your theater room, then you should get one of these, right? I mean, there are high end speaker systems. People get high end, stuff for their home all the time, and I think this is a high end. But I don't know if the gaming world is ready for it, and I think the problem is the way that both Microsoft and Sony are marketing these things. Like they're marketed as the best console ever, but they're still focusing on like the high end. They're still focusing on it as a gaming machine. I really think they need to go more lateral in that. You look at like how phones do it, right? The iPhone or the Samsung Galaxy or something, the S8. So you have they don't just make it like a better. This year we have a better screen and a better camera. That's it. Well, that doesn't really do anything. You add new features in. You add stuff that's in there that you weren't able to do before on a previous console. And yeah, the Blu-ray thing is the 4K Blu-ray is nice, but the Xbox One S can do 4K Blu-ray right now, so that's not an issue. You can get an Xbox One S for you can get it for like $200 really around Christmas time, like you did last year. So, what laterally could they have done with this? And that to me is, it was most telling when Major Nelson was doing the unboxing, the white glove unboxing, and he turns around and he goes, and look, these are the exact same ports that are on the back of your Xbox One S already, so you're familiar with it. I'm like, well, that's not what I wanted to hear. Like, if it's literally the same exact thing in the back, it means I'm not getting anything except for more teraflops, which doesn't mean a thing to me. Numbers, as we've come to find out with the Switch, those numbers don't mean a thing, right? It's what you do with the software. And I think the Xbox One X would have been better if they said, hey, it's not just better, slightly better visuals or whatever. It's not 4K visuals. We're also we are embedding a DVR in this. Now this is your entertainment box. We got Roku built in. We have there's a satellite dish that sticks onto this thing. I don't know. I think there could have been some stuff that they could go through that they pushed this from a feature standpoint and not just a better standpoint. I think that, to me, if you start adding actual features that I can't get into the Xbox One X, like if you say this still plays the same games, the Xbox One can play the Xbox One X games, there's no difference there. You guys will still play against each other, but now we have something that's not gaming related that's built into the Xbox One X, which, like, maybe it's got a camera built into it. Maybe you can do voice calls over Skype, or you could do, a Discord something, or maybe it comes with a keyboard, or there are things you could do that are not gaming related with these consoles that they have not scratched the surface at all, and I think that's what makes these pro consoles not appealing to someone like me.
Yeah, because even if you want to position it as like there was talk that they were going to do VR stuff,
yeah,
you could position it as like this is the best way to bring VR into your living room.
Right.
But they seem to avoid that like it's the plague now.
Yeah.
And like the base PS4 can do VR.
Right.
So like how can you convince somebody that like, hey, here's this box that you don't have a 4K TV or whatever, but here's a box that's way cheaper, and for like the same price as that other thing, you can strap this thing onto your face. Like, and honestly, I think if you talk to the right people, like that seems way more appealing than having a box that seems overpowered for the hardware that you have.
Like, I think if they said, we are going in with VR, and you can use an Oculus Rift with this thing, right? Here's the added feature. It's not going to change the Xbox One games that people are playing already, but we also offer VR, and it's only on the Xbox One X, and you can use an Oculus Rift or whatever device they choose, a 5 or something. All of a sudden, it's a little bit more compelling. Even if they said the Xbox One X VR, the Xbox VR stuff is only available on the Xbox One X. That would actually push me more towards picking up an Xbox One X, because I know that they're not. It's not an Xbox One experience. It's like an add on to that, and I think that to me is really sort of the appealing factor. So
yeah, like right now, it just seems like they're marketing it only to hardcore gaming fans, that know the difference between the two setups and are basically like putting their fate in the hands of like 18-year-olds at GameStop or whoever's, at GameStop being like, well, what's the difference? I don't know, man. This one's more expensive and is shinier. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you're like, there's no defining factors other than price.
Sure.
To tell like a normal person that's like, I saw this game on TV, I want to play it. I know the Xbox brand because of movie or whatever. And I'm interested. What's the difference between the two of these? You're leaving it up to the your storefronts, and they don't care. Dude working at GameStop or dude working at Walmart or Amazon or whatever doesn't care what the difference between those is. He just has to sell you one of them.
Yeah.
And like that price tag being what, like $300 more than what an Xbox One S is, or like $200 more. Like, why buy that unless there's a difference? And are you going to know that difference?
Right. I agree. Yep. Well, so I won't be getting one, but I am just looking at the list of things that I am getting this year. The exclusives for the consoles is minimal, like for the Xbox One and the PS4. In fact, I don't even know if there are any besides Gran Turismo Sport, GT Sport. There really isn't any PS4 exclusive that even looks remotely interesting.
Now, I mean, if you count the DLC packs,
and then you have Forza 7, which maybe I skip Forza this year and get it. Really is a battle of which car game do I want. I think that's the same boat you're in. GT Sport, Forza 7, Need for Speed, or Project Cars. Maybe in this case I might pick up a GT game because I haven't had a GT game in a while, and I'll forego the Forza one. It's between those two for me. I have every Forza game that's been released since the Xbox 360 onward. And I love Horizons 3, and it seems like Forza 7 is sort of going backward from Horizons 3 has been such a blast of a game. It like nails. It's my favorite racing game of all time, from like more of the simulation side. So I think that nails it. And I don't know, it's Forza 7 seems to go back a little bit, but yeah. So it's going to be one of those two, probably GT Sport. Nintendo has a bajillion exclusives that I'm really interested in for their devices. Like I'm gonna get a Metroid Return of Samus because I have it. I think it came part of the ambassador program for the 3DS, so I have it loaded up on my 3DS somewhere. The original green and white one, but I'll I'll pick this one up. I'm looking forward to it. It's getting some good previews out of places like Gamescom, and I enjoyed it at E3 a little bit. I only played a little bit, but I liked it. Mario and Rabbids, totally gonna pick that up next week. That looks just fantastic. Fire Emblem Warriors, I love the Warriors, the Muso style games. I'll pick that up. Mario Odyssey, I'm definitely getting Mario. And if magically Xenoblade Chronicles 2 comes out this year, they keep saying it is, and they even said it again this week that it's coming out this year, then I'll pick that up because I really enjoyed the original Xenoblade Chronicles when I played it on the 3DS. So, yeah, those are the Nintendo kind of exclusive games that I'll definitely be picking up. But, there's still stuff like Rocket League on Switch. I'll probably get that. That'll be a digital game for me. Battle Chasers, again, it's going to be a fun sort of RPG a classic style RPG that I can take with me anywhere. I'll probably grab FIFA and NBA 2K and WWE. My first time picking up any of these games in years, so I'm actually looking forward to that. And even Skyrim, I never got past like an hour and a half of the original Skyrim just because it was so giant and so daunting, and I had to share the TV. But now on a portable device, and apparently Digital Foundry just took a look at it and said that it functioned really well on the Switch, on the portable screen, and on the big screen. So that looks really good. I might pick that up, and Skyrim will be my big game after Breath of the Wild. But then I think the last couple for me are going to be South Park, Fractured But Whole. I loved the first South Park game, so Fractured But Whole is right up there, and then Wolfenstein 2. I'm playing, I think it's the Old Blood, the DLC kind of in between game. I'm playing that right now. Probably finish it off this weekend. But I like Wolfenstein or Wolfenstein, whatever. So I'll probably grab that sequel. So I guess the major ones for me are Mario and Shadow of War and maybe Xenoblade if it comes out, and Wolfenstein, and then Mario plus Rabbids. So there's, I think, like one or 1.5 big games per month. But at the same time, we got like a bajillion review codes pouring in all the time.
Yeah.
Like I got a box today from our friends at 505 Games promoting the last day of June, which I had a very quick peek at E3. It's the story about a woman named June, and this is her last day. So it's supposedly an emotional story, and I know this because they sent me a box of Kleenex and glasses and a thank you card, just preparing me to cry, apparently. So I'll have to review that, and every time I open my email now, we get like a bunch of review codes. So yeah, but that's gonna be this year for me, I think. And I may even hold off on Shadow of War just to plow through Mario Odyssey and Mario and Rabbids and Wolfenstein. So we'll see. But there was a lot to play earlier in the year, and I'm still in that backlog zone, the backlog friend zone. So I've moved my Xbox One up into my office, which means I can now finally get back to some of the older Xbox 360 games that have been put on backlog finally, and I can kind of plow through some of those. So I think the only one that's not in backlog compatible now that I really want to be was Shadows of the Damned. I don't think that's backlog yet, but maybe we'll get there at some point. But Dead Space 3, I think, is going to be over the Christmas break. I'll be plowing through that. So I'm kind of excited. But yeah, so many games still coming out. September and October look like they're just completely juiced full of not just big games, but like really long, giant open world adventures I'm so glad Red Dead Redemption 2 was pushed out of this year. Holy mackerel, that would have been a mess. And then obviously there have been already, we're probably done with delays. I think there were a couple announced this last couple weeks here of stuff being pushed into like Crackdown 3. I'm kind of glad that was pushed out. Just makes my decision not to get an Xbox One X or to kind of lay low on the Xbox One for a while. Make a more solid decision. So there's still a lot coming out, a lot, but we'll be up for it as we always are. But with that said, it's probably time to put a bow on this episode. We were going to meet really quickly, and now we've been talking for like an hour and a half and all this junk. But Sam, thank you for being a part of this wonderful episode, my friend.
Well, yes, I'm glad I could make it because apparently no one else could.
Yeah, it was just you and I, and it was an hour and a half. And if we had any of the other Yahoos on board, it probably would have been a 3-hour episode. So I'm kind of glad that we didn't have anybody else on. But where can we find you, Sam?
You can find me at twitter.com/SamDI79, where my last update was August 13th, my birthday.
Nice.
And saying whoever was responsible for Baby Driver's editing deserves all the awards.
Yes.
I still agree with that sentiment. That was a great movie.
That's one I have to watch. Do you recommend seeing it in the theater or just waiting till it comes out on disc now?
I would just, as long as you have good audio. I think that's the most important part of that, is to make sure that you have audio with bass and substantial speakers to blast it. Like it should definitely be cranked a little bit louder than what you normally listen to movies.
Sure.
Because it's so that audio is so important for basically the entire flow of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think you have to see it in theaters, but if your theater has really good surround sound, maybe go to the theater.
Okay. Well, I might still try to sneak out and see that then, because it is still playing in a couple of local theaters. So, other than that, you can find me at Dolly Domovsky. You can find us at SideQuesting, sidequesting.com. You just listen to previous episodes. You can find Tom and Zach and everybody else. So, but yeah, welcome to the Fall Blitz. It is now officially Gameageddon. We won't have any time to do all this stuff and all these amazing games, but at least enough are getting pushed back into next year. So the beginning of next year is already starting to slowly come into focus, and it may not be as hectic as this year was, but there are big things that are already starting to pop up around there. So like Secret of Mana, a remake, was just announced today for next year, and I'm like, great, thanks guys. Another game, by the way, that would have been fantastic on Switch, but it's coming out for PS4, Vita, and PC. So that's a missed opportunity. Whatever. Anyways, take care, everybody. We'll see you in the next side quest. We love you. Bye. Peace.
Bye, friends.